Hello, and welcome to part 2 of the expressions tutorial. My name is Raymond Gabriel, and in this part we will learn how to rig the face that we did in part 1 and animate it. There is a challenge and a surprise at the end of this video, so make sure that you watch it till the end. Without any further delay, let's get right into it. I will continue with the blend file that I have done in the last part. If you want to watch the last part, you will find the link in the description below, and I will be linking it here somewhere. So what we have here is a face with some mesh with textures on it, and here you will find that I've opened UV editor and the shader editor. We don't want that anymore, so we just need to close it. So right click in the middle here and select join areas. Then close this part and also click here, join areas, and close this part. Okay, so what we need to do is rig this face to be able to animate. First, we need to adjust the layering of these parts. We need to make them as far apart from each other as we can, so we can start rigging. This method, I already explained it in another video where I explained how to rig a 2D character. I will be linking also this video somewhere around here. So to do that, let's just select one of the layers and move it on the x-axis, then select the eyes and move it back like that. Select the eyebrows, both of them, and maybe put them right here. The reason why we want them far apart is that when we put bones in the scene, we don't want the bones to affect any other mesh except the one that it's on. We will get to that. So I think that will do. For this blinking eyes, we need to have it as close as possible with the mesh of the eyes itself, so it will deform the same way as the eyes. Never mind, the iris is now in front of the eye. I will be fixing that after we rig the character. So let's start. Select everything and move it to the center of the scene like that. Press 0 on your numpad to go to the camera view. Press Shift C so that the 3D cursor is in the center of the scene. Then move the character until you have the nose to be in the center of the 3D cursor like that. Yeah, more or less. Try to get the 3D cursor in the middle of the character. Now what we need to do is rotate the whole parts that we have here by 90 degrees on the Z axis so that the X axis is parallel to the face, because that will help us symmetrize the armature. So first select here and choose 3D cursor, so we rotate around the 3D cursor. Now press R, Z, then 90. Okay, now press 0 on your numpad to go to the camera view. Also the sun is now facing the wrong way, so move it and go back to the medium point and rotate the line to be going through the character like that. I think you might have noticed that the mesh parts is a little bit reflective, and that is something that we don't want. We want it to be very rough and do not reflect any light. So to fix that, you have to split the viewport here, and from here select shader editor, press N to close this side panel, and if you go and select this part, for example, you will find that the roughness is at 0.5, so let's make that 1, and that will make it non-reflective. Let's do that for every material that we have. Now we have the 3D cursor in the center of the scene. We can press Shift A to insert an armature, then single bone. What will that do is insert a single bone. Make sure that the 3D cursor is in the center so that the armature is exactly in the center and the origin point is in the middle of the face. Press Tab to go to edit mode, select the bone and move it. Press R, then X, then -90. Press S to scale it down. Also press this tab here, and from viewport display select in front, so we are seeing the bones at all times, even if they are behind the meshes. Close this viewport now, we don't want it. Okay, press Shift D to duplicate, put another bone here, Shift D and put it around here. Also we want to make a controller bone for the eyebrow, so Shift D and put it around there. Maybe select these bones and then select the controller bone, press Ctrl P, then select keep offset. That will parent these 3 bones to this bone. So let's name this one eyebrow 1. Make sure that you enter .L in the name of the bones so they can be symmetrized. Without this .L, they won't be symmetrized to the other side. Make sure that you have it. Select the other bone, eyebrow. I'll be doing that with the other bones. Okay, press Shift and right click, so you move the 3D cursor. Press Shift A to insert another bone. Make sure that you are in edit mode. Okay, R, then X, then -90. Move it around here. Okay, press Shift D and put another one here. Maybe go to object mode and select the iris and hide it for now by pressing H. Select the bones, go to edit mode, select the bone, press Shift D again and move it like that. Press Shift D and put another one around here. Maybe also duplicate this bone here, another one here for the eyelid. Let's put a bone here. So this is the controller bone that will move the eyes if we want. Select all these bones. Then select the controller bone, press Ctrl P, then keep offset. All these bones are now parented to this bone. Let's rename them. Make sure that the controller bones, this one and this one, from this tab where you named the bone, uncheck deform so they don't contribute to the deformation of the mesh. When we attach the bones to the mesh, they won't affect it. So make sure this is unchecked. Press Shift and right click, move the 3D cursor here, press Shift A and put another bone. Press R, then X, then -90, put it around here. Shift D and put it here. Shift D like that. Press Shift D and put one in the middle. That will be the controller for the mouse. So select everything. Then select the center one. Press Ctrl P, rename them. You don't need to put one here because this will be symmetrized from this bone. Anything in the center will not be symmetrized. So only the bones in the left side will be symmetrized. Let's go to the 3D view and check if the bones location are in the right place. So right now we have the eyebrow bones away from the eyebrow. So select the eyebrow bones and press G, then Y, and move them until they are penetrating the eyebrow like that. And also this one. Make sure that the bone is close to the mesh so that when we attach them, they will be affecting the mesh. Press A to select everything. Press B for box select. Then press Shift and remove these bones in the middle. Press right click and choose symmetrize, and that will symmetrize all these bones to the other side. And you will see that Blender has renamed them to eyebrow.r. Press Ctrl Tab and go to object mode. Press Alt H to unhide the iris. Let's add bones for the iris. Press Tab to go to edit mode. Press Shift and right click so that the 3D cursor is on the iris. When we press Shift A, this will add a bone in its location. Press R, then X, then 90, negative, scale it down and put it in the center here. Rename it iris.l and right click, then symmetrize. Okay, so we didn't do that in the last part, but for the eyelid we needed to subdivide these meshes. We have subdivided all the meshes so that there is so many vertices that we can animate. If you check the eyebrow, you will find that it's not subdivided, and that will cause a problem with attaching the bones to the mesh. So what you want to do is select the eyebrow, press Tab to go to edit mode, then right click and select subdivide, and that will subdivide it, and you will get these options here. And change the number of cuts to 10. Press Tab to go to object mode, select the lower eyelid, press Tab, right click, subdivide, and choose 10. Now what we need to do is attach the mesh to the bones. Select the upper eyelid, the lower eyelid, and the eyes. Now select the bones, press Ctrl P and choose Width Automatic Widths. Let's test that by going to pose mode. Press Ctrl Tab, select this bone for example, and move it. You will see that the deformation of the eyes are not bad, and they are both moving together, the blinking and the eyes behind it. Okay, it's not bad. We will not be moving those bones in the animation. Those were just supporting bones. Let's do the same thing with the eyebrow. So press Ctrl Tab to go to object mode, select the eyebrow, press Shift and hold it, then select the other one. While you're holding the Shift, press the bones, so they are the last thing that you are selecting. Press Ctrl P, then choose Width Automatic Width. To test it, select the bones, press Ctrl Tab to go to pose mode. Now try to move it. I think it's okay. Okay, perfect. Control tab to go to object mode. Select the iris, then select the armature. Press Ctrl P with automatic weights. Now press Control tab to go to pose mode. Select this bone and try to move it. Now it should be moving the iris. Okay, perfect. Control tab to go to object mode. And the last thing is the mouse. As you saw in the last part, we have this mesh. Texture have a lot of expressions. So if you split this viewport and choose in here UV editor, then press tab, scroll out, you will see that the texture here contains a lot of other expressions. So what we want to do is actually rig the UV itself so that we can move it and change the expressions in the animation. These bones are just deformation bones so that we can add a little bit of movement to each of those expressions and get more expressions if we can. Okay, press Ctrl tab, go to object mode. We need to add another armature other than this one. The other armature will be controlling the UV. So let's press Shift C to get the 3D cursor in the center of the scene again. Press Shift A, then add an armature, single bone. Okay, press 0 to go to camera view. Move the armature like that to the side. Press tab to go to edit mode. Select this bone. Press Shift D to duplicate it. Press Escape so that it snaps in the same location. Select this point and press Shift S, and that will get you this menu where you can move the 3D cursor. So choose cursor to select it. That will snap the 3D cursor to the selection. Select one of the bones and change from here the transform pivot point to the 3D cursor, so we can change the scale of this bone from the 3D cursor. So if you went to wireframe from here, or by pressing Z and go to wireframe, you can press S to scale it down and make it smaller like that. Let's go to edit mode by pressing tab and then go to this tab and rename these bones. Name the little bone to anchor and name the bigger bone to target. Press Ctrl tab, go to object mode, press Z and go to rendered view. What we need to do now, first let's rename the armature. So rename the armature of the deformation to expression deform, this armature to expression UV. Okay, now select the mouse shape, then go to the modifier tab from here and then add modifier. Select UV warp. From here put expression UV, then in the bone select the anchor, and in the to section select expression UV again, and in the bone put the target. Now if you select the armature, then you press Ctrl tab to go to pose mode, you will now be able to press G. You will now be controlling the UV of the mouse expression. So if you press G then X, you will see that you are getting the other expressions from the texture. If you press G and Z, you will get the one in the vertical direction. But as you can see, it's inverted. So if I go up, it actually gets me the one lower. If I go down, it will get me this one. So if you want to fix this, all you have to do is go back to object mode and mirror it on the Z direction. So press Ctrl M, then Z. If you now go to pose mode and you go down, you will see that it's now fixed. But either way it will work, because we will make something called pose for each one of those. So in the options of the armature, go to pose library and we will create a pose for each one of those expressions. So for example, on this position I will create a new pose. So I press the plus sign here and then press add new, rename this to maybe happy, and then I move it on the x-axis like that and press the plus button again, add new, maybe call this one surprise maybe, and I will keep doing that for all the other expressions as well. Let's do that for a couple more. Okay, that's enough for now. If I want to go back to any of those poses that I've made, if I selected happy for example, and then I select the bone, the target bone, and then I press this magnifying glass, you will see that the expression has been changed. If I went to this one, or this one, any one of those will work. Now all I have to do is just animate it in the next step. We'll do that when I am done with everything in the rig. We will start animating. What's left to be done for the rigging part, we just need to put the iris in the correct position to be behind the eyelids, so the blinking will work correctly. So what you want to do is select the eyelids and move them forward like that. We also, right now, after we have attached the armature to the mesh, we need to get everything closer together. So select the eyes, press B, then shift to remove the sun from the selection and move them back like that. Now we are almost done. Let's just the UV editor from here by pressing right click and join areas. Remove this part. Maybe create another viewport here, and this one we'll choose dope sheet. Let's start animating it. If we want to animate the eyelids to have them blinking, we just need to keyframe the visibility in the viewport. So I will put a keyframe while they are hidden, and I will put another keyframe while they are visible. So I can go back and forth between those two keyframes and I will animate the blinking. So let's do that. I have those two eyelids inside of this expressions deform armature. So I just press this arrow so I can see everything inside. Those two planes are plane 5 and plane 6. So if I just press this screen here, this will remove it from the scene. What I need to do is just press shift and the left arrow so I get to the first frame, and then hover over the screen. Make sure that you select the upper eyelid first, then press I. That will put the keyframe on the visibility. Also put one in the disable in render, so it's disabled in render also. If you don't have these two, you just need to go to filter, and in the restriction toggle you have to select these two so they are visible right here. Okay, select the lower eyelids and do the same thing. Press I here, I here. Move the marker maybe 2 frames, and this time press your left key so you can hide them. Now press I to add a keyframe while they are hidden. If you move between these two keyframes with the marker, you will see now that we have a keyframe while they are visible and another keyframe while they are hidden. If you want to make a blinking effect, you just select these keyframes and duplicate them here and play. Actually we have it the other way around, so we just need to duplicate this here and delete this one. So it's hidden, then it's visible, then it's hidden again. As you can see that the keyframes, when they are hidden, they are vanishing from the dope sheet. If you don't want it to be hidden in the dope sheet, you just need to click this toggle, display hidden, so it's visible at all times. Let's select the armature, go to pose mode, select the big bone, and then maybe put a keyframe with this expression. Press I on your keyboard and select location, rotation, scale. Then go to another one like grin. Move your marker to here maybe. Then press the magnifying glass. Then press I, location, rotation, scale. Now you have the bone moving from this position to this position. But you don't want it to be jumping between all the expressions like that. You want it to suddenly change from this position to this position. So to do that, you need to change the interpolation between those two keyframes. So select those two keyframes and press T and select constant. That will make it jump. If I just go here and then when I reach this keyframe, it will just jump to the other expression immediately, like that. And that's it. If you want to animate maybe the iris, select the iris and move them. Put the keyframe here and put the keyframe there, and we will be able to control it. Let's add a little bit of modification to the rig. Let's make a controller, one controller to control the two iris. So press tab to go to edit mode. Maybe select the eye controller, press shift D and move it down. Select the iris bones, then select the controller, press Ctrl B and keep offset. It's getting a little bit crowded here, so I can just go to this overlays and hide relationship lines, so they are not visible in the viewport. If I go to pose mode, I can now select this bone and move the two iris together. Let's maybe add another controller that will control all the feature of the face at the same time. So just go to edit mode by pressing tab, select maybe the eye controller and press shift D and duplicate it up like that. Scale it a little bit by pressing S. Then select all the controllers that you have. The controller for the eyebrow, the controller of the eyes, the controller of the iris, and the controller of the mouse. Then the last thing is the main controller. Then press Ctrl P and keep offset. Rotating the viewport like that and maybe move it in the Y direction like that. You need to have it a little bit in front or forward like that, so the animation is a little bit better. Okay, so press now Ctrl Tab to go to pose mode, and let's try it. Now you can see we can control all the face expressions and move them together. Maybe make a nod like that. As you can see, the nose is not moving, so we just need to parent it to this bone. So to do that, you go to pose mode. To be able to select the mesh, you need to have this option unchecked. It's checked by default, so make sure that it's unchecked. So you can just select the nose mesh, then press and hold Shift and select this bone. Now press Ctrl P and set parent to bone. Now it will move with this bone. Maybe it's moving a little bit weird. You can just grab the nose and move it back like that. Now it's a little bit better. Let's make the final controller, and that will control the expressions and the head or the circle in the background as well. So press Shift D for the main controller and put it up here like that. Select the main controller and the new controller that we just made. Ctrl P, keep offset. For this one, we need to go to pose mode, select the circle behind, then press Shift and hold it, then select this bone, Ctrl P, then set parent to bone. And now if we just rotate this bone, it will move the expressions and the circle behind as well. So it's as if it's looking or turning its head. Let's just categorize all these bones so it's just a little bit easier to select them. Maybe select the eyebrow bones like that, then go to this tab and in the bone groups press this plus sign and call these eyebrows. Maybe give them a color scheme like orange, maybe a sign, and that will give them a color. Now if you want to select the eyebrow bones quickly, you just select and that will select the eyebrow bone. Maybe do the same thing with the eye bones. I will do that quickly. So let's make a simple animation with this rig. So as we just tried, we have animated the keyframes for the mouse, and now we have these two keyframes, and we also have the blinking keyframes here. If you want to duplicate the blinking, maybe make another blink, you can just select these three keyframes and that will select all the keyframes for the two planes or two meshes of the eyelids. Then press Shift D and that will duplicate the animation for the blinking. Maybe select everything and move them by pressing G like that, so we can have a little bit of room. Let's try something out. As we said, this controller, it can control all the face. So let's make a squash effect. Maybe put it here like that and press I, location, rotation, scale. Then move it to maybe frame 10 and then pull it all the way down here, then I, location, rotation, scale, and maybe after 2 frames it will squash like that. By pressing S and then Z you can get this effect, this squash effect. Do it like that and move it here, location, rotation, scale, move it 2 more frames and squash it a little bit more, move it down, location, rotation, scale. Then after another 2 frames it will jump up and it will return to normal. By pressing Alt S you can reset the scale. Press I, then rotation, scale. That will get you something like that. It needs a little bit of work. Maybe it does need more squash effect. So just select the last keyframe and move it more keyframes away. Then make a little bit more of a squash effect like that. And location, rotation, scale. Let's see how this looks. Maybe try and make these closer to each other so they are 1 frame apart. So you can just select all these frames and press S and write 0.5, and that will divide the keyframes by 2, so the 2 keyframes in between will now become 1. I think it's a little bit better like that. Okay, so let's add a little bit more to the animation. Now, if I just want to make it blink when it's actually squashing here, I can just grab these keyframes, duplicate them here, like that. So it's blinking when it's squashing. I can add another blink just after it squashes, like that, here. Try to manipulate the expression as well, so it's making another expression here. So to do that, we just need to grab the expression UV that we've made, the armature for the UV, press Ctrl Tab to go to pose mode, select the big bone, and you will see all the poses that we've done in the pose library. Just make another expression, like maybe screen, and press I, location, rotation, scale. Let's see what will that do. So the expression is now changed. Maybe I want it to be another expression after it squashes here. So move the marker here and change the expression to something like smile maybe. If you don't like the position of the smile, maybe you want it a little bit to the right or the left, you can just move it until you're satisfied. If you want to reapply it to the pose library, you can just press the plus sign, and instead of adding new, you can just replace existing and select the smile, and that will update the location of this bone, so the smile is a little bit more in place. Now press I, location, rotation, scale, and that will make the expression changes when it reaches this keyframe. Okay, let's maybe add some deformation to the eyebrow while he's falling down like that. So move the marker around here, select the face bones, Ctrl Tab to go to pose mode. Because we have the X mirror, select the eyebrow and move them like that, and maybe move these bones like that. Then grab the eyebrow bone, press select, so select all the bones of the eyebrow. Now press I, location, rotation, scale, and that will put a keyframe to all the bones that are selected. Now when I return here to this position, I can just maybe put another keyframe here so that the expression of the eyebrow stay the same from this keyframe to this keyframe, and then when it reaches this position, it can return to its normal deformation by pressing Alt G, Alt S and Alt R. Now press I, location, rotation, scale, and that will make it change like that. Okay, I think that's it. So if you want to render out the animation, just go to where you want the animation to stop rendering, maybe here after the blink, and just write in the timeline from 1 to 27 and go to the render tab here, choose the output folder anywhere you want. Now press render animation, and that will render the animation. So now you have all the frames rendered out. If you want the background to be transparent, you can just from here, you can just go to film and check transparent, so the background is transparent. So you can put it over something else if you want. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to Kola for joining my Patreon page. Your support is invaluable, and in return I hope I can be of help and get you better with Blender very soon. I would really appreciate your support. Please check my Patreon page from the description below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more content like this. And I will see you in the next tutorial.